Invite viewers to post their location and local time because sometimes knowing we're all sharing a moment together, scattered across the globe, makes a story feel a little warmer. Now imagine this behind the tall iron gates and the beige facade of a sprawling mansion. Where polished marble floors reflect light like still water, there's a quiet that doesn't feel peaceful at all. It's the quiet that follows loss, the kind that wraps around you no matter how much money you have. For over a year, Richard Hale's home has been defined not by the echo of laughter, but by the soft hum of medical equipment and the faint squeak of rubber wheels on tile. His daughter, Emily, 5 years old, a tangle of blonde curls and hazel eyes that used to sparkle like they had a secret hasn't walked since the accident. A cold piece of metal, her wheelchair, has been her world, and no amount of cutting-edge treatment or whispered promises from specialists could change that. Historians still argue whether hope is a renewable resource or something you burn through only once. But for Richard, hope had been rationed into dust. That warm afternoon, he steps into the garden, expecting to see Emily the way he always does, quiet, book in lap, eyes far away. Instead, he freezes. She's laughing. Not the polite, someone just told a joke laugh, but the belly kind, the kind you can't fake. Her little hands clap, cheeks pink, eyes locked on a boy. Barefoot, maybe 9 years old, with bronze skin and curls like he'd been fighting the wind all morning. His clothes hang loose, his knees are scraped, and he's dancing like gravity is a suggestion big. Exaggerated moves, spinning, pretending to fall, pointing at Emily like he's daring her to outlaugh him. Richard's first instinct is the one rich people get trained into: how did you get in here? Where's security? But then he notices Emily leaning forward in her chair, her back straight, her toes shifting inside her sandals. That tiny twitch like her body remembering something. He stays behind a marble column, watching. The boy notices him, grins wider, spins, bows. Emily claps harder, and Richard, without meaning to, grips the column like it's keeping him from breaking the spell. It's been months since her face lit up like that. Out beyond the gates, the city hums on, unaware that in this pocket of grass and sunlight, something impossible might just be starting. The next day, Richard refuses to hide. Emily is already waiting in the garden, sunlight making a halo out of her wild hair, glancing every few seconds toward the gates like someone expecting magic to happen again. And sure enough, the boy appears. She doesn't walk so much as he glides, slipping through a gap in the hedge, bare feet silent on the grass, same shirt, dustier shorts, and an air of mischief like a street cat who's outwitted animal control. Emily's eyes light up, and the boy grins, arms up, ready for the show. But before he can start dancing, Richard steps into the light. The boy freezes, eyes darting to the nearest exit, but Emily's voice cuts through the tension, desperate and certain all at once. "Daddy, please don't make him go. He's my friend." Historians still argue whether courage is born or made. But in this moment, Jay the boy finally shares his name, finds his. Richard squats down to their level. "How old are you, Jay?" he asks. 9, I think. No one ever told me. There's no trace of self-pity, just the awkward truth of someone who's learned to skip birthdays. Richard presses on. "Where do you live?" Jay shrugs. "Sometimes the bus station, sometimes a laundry room if no one's around. Anywhere soft enough to call a bed for the night." He's not stealing anything, he says, voice breaking. She looked like she needed it. Richard looks at his daughter, cheeks flushed, hands gripping her wheelchair. For a second, he's not a CEO, just a dad seeing his little girl bloom again. He asks Emily how she feels. "Happy," she blurts out. "Like I can move again, even if I can't." Her toes twitch barely, but undeniably a detail, so small you could miss it unless you were desperate for a sign. Some would say that's just a reflex, nothing more. Scholars argue about the power of joy over the body, but here, in the garden, something's shifting. That week, Richard makes a decision. He tells security to let Jay in. No more questions. Every afternoon, Jay arrives, sometimes with a found sandwich, sometimes just with stories and silly dances. He spins, leaps, and narrates wild adventures, pulling Emily into the action. She joins however she can, lifting her arms, spinning her wheels, laughing until she's breathless. The change is so obvious that Emily's doctor, after a checkup, looks at Richard and says, "I don't know what you're doing, but don't stop." Some people pay a fortune for motivational speakers, but historians still debate if anything works better than a friend who dances like nobody's watching. Late one afternoon, as golden jazz tumbles from the garden speakers and the shadows stretch long and thin, Jay dances with an energy that's half comedian, half wild tornado. Emily, caught up in the rhythm, places her hands on the wheelchair's arms, pushes hard, and suddenly she lifts herself up, halfway out of her chair, holding for 3 heartbeats before collapsing back with a gasp and a grin that could light up a whole block during a power outage. Jay whoops and spins in a dizzy victory circle, collapsing beside her in the grass, breathless with admiration. Richard kneels too, his own eyes shining. "You're amazing," he tells her, and then he glances at Jay, "And so are you." That evening, with the sun leaking away into the kind of twilight that makes even the biggest house feel a little less lonely, Richard finds Jay sitting on the back steps. He looks smaller somehow, dwarfed by the mansion's grandeur, a child on the edge of a world that's never quite let him in. "You can't keep living like this," Richard says gently. Jay just shrugs, a gesture perfected by kids who never expect the world to change for them. "Been doing it my whole life." Richard shakes his head, and it's the tone-soft but resolutely off someone who's just decided, right there, that fate's about to lose a round. "Not anymore. From today, you live here. You'll have a room, meals, clothes, school. You'll be part of this family." Jay stares, eyes wide, as if waiting for the punchline. "Why? You don't even know me." Richard's answer is quiet, but it rolls through the marble halls like thunder. "Because you gave my daughter hope. And nobody who gives hope should have to sleep on a cold floor." Some scholars argue whether generosity is truly selfless or if we're just paying forward the kindness we wish we'd been shown. But in that moment, it doesn't matter at all. The next morning, the garden is louder than ever, laughter, music, even a brief debate about whether squirrels are plotting world domination. Emily and Jay wheel and leap, side by side, while Richard watches, a small smile breaking through the mask he's worn for so long. For the first time in a year, the house feels like more than just a museum of lost things. It breathes with possibility. Remember, not every miracle needs a spotlight. Sometimes it's just a barefoot boy, a girl with stubborn hope, and a father learning that real wealth is measured by the joy you bring home. As dusk settles quietly over the mansion, everything softens. The air, the voices, even the relentless buzz of worry that once filled every hallway. Emily's window glows faintly, her laughter a gentle thread in the hush, Jay's feet tapping a lazy rhythm somewhere down the hall. Richard stands at the threshold of her room for a long while, not wanting to break the spell, watching the silhouettes of his daughter and her new friend shapes stitched together by luck and kindness in a world that so often keeps people apart. There's a slowness now, a kind of easy breathing, like the whole house is settling into a gentler heartbeat. Outside, the garden sways in the evening breeze, the same place that was once just an ornament now alive with memories, a patch of grass that, if you ask Emily, still feels a little bit magic. Historians might debate if all happy endings are just moments before the next beginning, but right now, no one here is in any rush to turn the page. If you listen closely, you might catch a stray giggle from the kitchen, the faint echo of jazz, or the soft padding of bare feet on cool tile. These are the sounds that carry people through the hard days and remind us, quietly, that home isn't built with stone or money, it's built with second chances and with the courage to invite someone in. So, wherever you are, whatever time your clock says, take a breath and let that image linger. A house once haunted by sorrow, now humming with small, stubborn hope. Tomorrow's another day, but tonight, just let it be gentle.